The Jim and Terry Show, coming to you, not flag waving, not with trucks, not with a convoy, other things that we've covered in our 500 series of Looking Back.
Looking back. I thought you were going to start something here.
I was looking back at the trucker convoy because we've covered that when it was happening.
Yes.
And you had some of your family who went there to check it out for themselves and be part of this big, wonderful, glorious, international, global event that was taking place. And the Ottawa convoy was just one of those events. Everybody was looking at Ottawa saying, isn't that wonderful?
Yes. And I don't know where they were going to go with it. What if they had succeeded? Oh, yeah, they hung Trudeau.
That would have been part of what they set out to do.
The government dissolved. So who would be in that government? Like it was
the
like
Queen of Canada.
It was like those who raided the in January 6th the government buildings. And then did you see like the shaman or whatever his name was sitting on where the speaker's seat would be? And I'm going, so you guys would be like the new government? Is that what we're doing here?
Yeah, I'm not sure I'd like to have him making any policies.
Well, I don't think I would have liked any of the truckers, too, who, in a lot, must have been unemployed people with complaints who decided that for the sake of freedom, that they would take the rest of our freedoms away and just overthrow the government and take it over because that government is so fascist or so communist or so whatever, when in reality, we voted them in. And you who want to have them resign and take over
through a non-legitimate process.
Yeah, we didn't vote you in, and yet they're the authoritarians. And shouldn't there be a major give your head a shake here?
I think the major give your head a shake moment came this past week when the lawyer for the trucker convoy was tossed out of the inquiry.
For being stupid.
Could you say it with more authority, my friend?
Look, you can make up anything. You need some proof of what you're coming up with. You can't just say, I was at Terry's house and there was an alien there and he told us he was going to destroy the world in 5 days. I'm coming here to tell you that. But no, I have no proof, and Terry denies it. Turns out I just drank too much Baileys with the coffee.
The issue for that one was the presence of swastikas and flags, and they actually named a name, and the guy is demonstrably not present and not part of that. They said he was a liberal plant, as if you're going to plant in order to make your case that you have to have an excuse to break up the convoy. Break up the protest, break up the occupation, I think is the word we're settling on. It was an occupation of Ottawa. We covered it on the Jim and Terry Show live.
Remember I told you, it was like 2-3 days in when they were leaving Calgary, and I said if their intentions were good, they've been taken over. Remember I said that, and they were. They were taken over, which makes them pretty blind to the fact that you can't just do things this way. You just can't do that.
And that ne'er-do-wells will tag along to what may have had an element of legitimate protest.
Yeah. But protest is one thing. Occupation is another. Protest is one thing. Destroying the livelihood of others is another. And we always have to remember the Windsor episode where they closed down our borders as in support of the Ottawa truck drivers, and
that's an international
you've just got a whole group of brain dead people now wanting to have their way because you're destroying your own nation, so you're not going to have a nation to inherit. And I view it as if you can spend all that time off blocking up, you were just unemployed people. You may have been unemployed because your company said, we want you protected for COVID, or the company you're shipping to, the country you're shipping to says you must be vaccinated. This is no reason to take over the world here, especially your own country. And it's no way in which you fight such things. You have to do it by the ballot box. That's the only way of doing it. So vote Trudeau out. Oh, they didn't. That didn't happen. He ended up getting back in.
With a minority.
And remember, I'm basically a conservative-leaning human being here, but I mean, the facts are the facts. So we're a democracy, folks. We're not, you just don't like what's happening to you and you're going to ruin it for everybody else. That's like Trump wanting to take down America because he's going down. And he'll do that, by the way. He'll attempt that.
He'll burn the house down is the
He'll
phrase.
burn the house down.
That's going on. Even Bill Barr, who I don't appreciate, don't like, loathsome human being, an enabler, former AG in the Trump administration, even he said he will burn the house down. So when a rogue is saying that about another rogue, I think it's just getting worse. Anyway, there we go. We covered it live. Let's move on to something else. That's one of those cases, as with COVID, of this is what we thought then, this is what we know now. So the inquiry for the Emergencies Act is going on in Ottawa, and we're learning more. Does it justify? That's the question. It doesn't have to assign guilt or blame. It just has to investigate in order to make recommendations for the next time the Emergencies Act will be required or asked for. So did we learn anything?
Well, with the Emergency Act, I learned something that after you evoke such a thing, you're going to have to answer to it.
Yes.
So I like that.
I think democratic.
I think that's democratic. I agreed then with the Liberal government. I agree now with the Liberal government.
So nothing that's been presented has changed your mind at all?
No, but I got to admit I'm not studying it either.
No, okay.
But I remember at the time saying this is out of control, and you've got these hundreds of tons of junk blocking streets and bridges. You got to do something. Now, I think, the way they can be thankful I'm not the prime minister. I probably would have sent missiles in and blown them up. I was getting that mad with the whole stupid attitude that went behind what they were doing. Again, protesting is one thing. Wrecking the livelihood of others is another. And if you're going to protest, protest.
And claims of something do not make it evidence of something. You can claim anything is true, this is that, but unless you have evidence, then the claim means nothing. So a lot was said back in the day, and back in February, January, when the blockade took place and the occupation, when Windsor was blockaded, when Coutts had an armed threat there. A lot of claims were made, but this much time later, have we been able to verify anything or get evidence of anything? We had CSIS head testify in Ottawa. Did he give us any insight?
I don't think it's going to change the minds of the people.
No, the people obviously feel victimized.
Yeah, and both feel victimized. I mean, the residents of Ottawa, they made their lives pure hell, and deliberately made their lives pure hell. They deliberately did that. That's just like Putin bombing the crap out of civilians to make their life hell. They blew those horns all friggin' night to make the peoples who live there life hell.
It's the same malicious intent, but we can't say it's the same thing as being bombed.
Oh, no. But you get my point.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure it's the intent. If the intent is not positive, then it's not good.
Well, again, it is using innocent people to get your. And what kind of a shallow human being are you that you're going to make everybody in Bob Cajun's life miserable because you don't want to pay for the sewer extension in front of your house? You know what I mean? That is just selfish, hollow humans, and that's what you had in that whole thing was. People saying, "I don't care about your rights. I want my rights resolved."
I'm hoping there were some who meant well.
Of course they did. I think.
But when you start something like this,
I think they meant well. I hope they never go back again.
Yes.
I hope they learned that. This might not be exactly as exciting as we thought.
Well,
I
think the federal government has learned something about permits to protest and I think there's going to be a permanent change to street assignments and corridors to get into the capital. As a result, I went to Ottawa and there were still some streets blocked. Yeah. So there's going to be some ripple effects of this thing.
Yeah, and thank you very much, protesters. Thank you for screwing that up again for average, everyday Canadians who want to visit the capital. Now we're all messed up because you were a little sucky. You didn't get what you wanted.
Ooh, okay.
I'm sorry. I'm not a fan.
No.
I'm not a fan.
That's fine. Not a fan.
No, they don't like me either. Don't buy my CD.
We covered this as part of the Jim and Terry show, and my question is, this many months later, Emergencies Act inquiry later, it's not over yet, but have we learned anything that's changed our minds? Maybe not you and I, but is there anyone who was supportive of that who's changed their minds? I've not read of anyone.
I can't imagine it because it's a movement.
So
It's
we're
a
dug in.
It's a movement that gives people fun, like being in a gang. It's just a movement that it fills up their poor, rotten, boring lives. They think they're doing something good, and they're not. And then a lot of them know they're not doing good. They're going to do it anyway.
Speaking of poor, rotten, boring lives, for our ones and twos who are listening to the Jim and Terry show, we do. What's the quote from Mr. T? Pity the fool.
Pity the fool.
We hope you got some content out of it, even if it's just a smile. Bye-bye.